Jeff Bezos just called his own fiancée a plastic piece of at their $50 million wedding. We're talking leaked dinner insults, A-list guests cringing in silence, and a face so unrecognizable the internet swore it was AI. We're about to uncover exactly what Lauren Sanchez did, and why it might have just ended the most expensive romance on Earth. And trust me, this story's about to get darker, so hit subscribe now so you don't miss the next twist. Picture this: Venice, Italy, golden light bouncing off the canals, Beyoncé rehearsing on a private stage, and Oprah stepping off a water taxi into a billionaire's paradise. It's supposed to be the most glamorous wedding of the decade, but while the cameras are locked on Lauren Sanchez in her couture gown, there's a different conversation happening inside San Giorgio Maggiore, one that no one was meant to hear. Because just hours later, a private dinner turns into a humiliation heard around the world. Insiders say Lauren had been keeping a secret for 6 months, a transformation so extreme even her closest friends wouldn't recognize her. She'd planned the big reveal for one moment, the dinner where she'd walk in, stun Jeff, and silence every critic who called her Bezos' midlife crisis. Instead, she got an icy stare, and one sentence that would follow her for the rest of the night. What did Jeff say? Who else heard it? And why did A-list guests start whispering before dessert even hit the table? Let's rewind. Because the real scandal didn't start in Venice. It started months earlier, in a Beverly Hills clinic. It started with a single photo. Side-by-side images of Lauren Sanchez, one from her days as an Emmy-winning journalist, the other taken just weeks before the wedding, exploded across social media. The contrast was staggering. Gone were the warm, natural features that once drew comparisons to Catherine Zeta-Jones. In their place, ballooned lips, razor-thin nose, cheeks pulled so taut they caught the light like polished marble. Some swore the aftershot had to be AI. Others insisted it was real. The problem? No one could tell for sure, and doctored images began spreading faster than the truth. Memes compared her to everyone from Kim Kardashian to the villain from Saw. The tone wasn't just mocking, it was vicious. And while internet storms come and go, this one had fuel. Whispers from guests who'd seen Lauren in person. It's not just Photoshop, one claimed. She really did it. But the most explosive detail wasn't what the public thought. It was what Jeff Bezos allegedly said when he saw her. A reaction so cold it would turn a wedding celebration into the opening act of a PR disaster.
How's wedding planning? Is it fun?
For years, Lauren Sanchez had been the picture of high-gloss Hollywood glamour, a former news anchor, helicopter pilot, and Bezos' red carpet partner. But this time, even her closest allies were caught off guard, and witnesses describe her new look in almost clinical detail. Lips inflated beyond their natural curve, cheeks so overfilled they created sharp angles under the ballroom lights, and a nose so narrow it looked like it had been drawn in pencil. The effect was striking, but not in the way she'd hoped. Side-by-side comparisons hit every major gossip feed. The before photos showed a woman with warm eyes and a timeless elegance. The after images, real or doctored, told another story, one of surgical extremes and a chase for an impossible ideal. Online, the narrative split in two. Some saw a cautionary tale about the pressure on women in the billionaire spotlight. Others saw vanity gone wild. What made it worse was the setting. This wasn't a quiet reveal at a private event. Lauren stepped into a Venetian cathedral lit with gold, surrounded by the richest and most famous people on Earth. And when Jeff Bezos laid eyes on her, sources say the temperature in the room dropped instantly. What came out of his mouth next wouldn't just be personal. It would be the spark for a global headline storm. It was meant to be Lauren's grand entrance, the moment she'd silence months of online ridicule and step fully into her role as Mrs. Bezos-to-be. The cathedral's private dining hall glowed with candlelight, the kind of room where every whisper feels louder. As servers glided between tables of billionaires and A-listers, Lauren arrived, her gown catching every flicker of gold. Jeff looked up. Witnesses say his expression didn't register shock or awe. It froze, flat and unreadable. Then, with guests close enough to hear, he allegedly leaned in and delivered the sentence that would ricochet across gossip sites within hours. "You look like a plastic piece of sh-" The words hung in the air like smoke. Conversations at nearby tables stalled. No one laughed. A guest later leaked that Lauren's face didn't flinch, but her hand tightened on her wine glass. Jeff, known for controlling every aspect of his public image, didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to plow. The damage was done in a tone so cold it felt calculated. By dessert, the whispers had started. By morning, page 6 had the quote, "And suddenly this wasn't a wedding. It was a billionaire scandal in the making." But the real question was, why did Jeff react that way? And the answer might lie in the months leading up to this night. June 27th, 2025. Venice was no longer a city, it was a stage. San Giorgio Maggiоре's ancient stone steps were lined with paparazzi lenses the size of small cannons. 100 water taxis ferried Hollywood's elite through shimmering canals. Oprah Winfrey in a floor-length silk cape, Leonardo DiCaprio ducking flashes, Kim Kardashian trailing a cloud of diamonds. The guest list read like an Oscars after-party, but the budget was closer to a space launch. $50 million for 3 days of curated excess. Jeff's $500 million yacht, Koru, loomed offshore, a floating symbol of their empire. 10 luxury hotels were booked out entirely for guests, and Beyoncé's private performance was already trending before the first song ended. Vogue dubbed it the most lavish union of the century. But outside, locals waved cardboard signs reading "Billionaires Out," their chants echoing over the gondolas. Inside of the reception glittered, but not without cracks. Whispers of tension followed Lauren from table to table. Some guests quietly questioned her new look. Others compared her to her pre-Bezos self in hushed tones over champagne. Even before the private dinner insult, the air carried something heavier than perfume, a sense that this spectacle was more about proving a point than celebrating love. And as it turns out, proving a point can be the fastest way to lose control of the story. By the time the last flute of champagne was poured in Venice, the wedding was already being dismantled online. Guests with millions of followers had posted carefully lit selfies, and just as quickly, gossip blogs were tearing them apart. Side-by-side shots of Lauren from before Bezos and after Venice filled feeds like wildfire. Some accused her of chasing Kardashian-style fame, others framed her as a victim of impossible billionaire beauty standards. Then came the leaks. A Page 6 headline screamed about Jeff's alleged insult, triggering a domino effect. Rosie O'Donnell went on her podcast calling it gross excess, openly questioning why Oprah would stand beside Bezos at all. Meme accounts clocked millions of views with captions like, "From Catherine Zeta-Jones to Bezos bot." Feminist commentators blasted Jeff for humiliating his fiancée, while tabloids went after Lauren's lingerie gala look as proof she'd lost all class. X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, became the battlefield. One viral thread with 6 million views labeled Jeff a cold king and Lauren a fallen queen. Another spun the story into a debate about how society punishes women twice, once for aging and again for fighting it. The narrative had escaped the couple's control, and while the world argued over whether Lauren was a cautionary tale or a cultural scapegoat, the deeper truth was still hiding. The pressure that drove her to this transformation in the first place. Long before the wedding, before the hashtags and memes, friends say Lauren Sanchez was already unraveling under the weight of being Jeff Bezos' fiancée. Every red carpet brought comparisons to younger women. Sydney Sweeney, Zendaya, fresher faces that the internet loved to pit against her. Every close-up photo was dissected on gossip blogs, every outfit analyzed like a crime scene. The cruelest posts weren't from strangers. They were screenshots of Jeff's own jokes, allegedly made in private. Comments about trading up or keeping up with the new models might have been offhand to him, but to Lauren, they cut deep. For 6 months, she worked in secret with some of Beverly Hills' most in-demand surgeons. Not one procedure, but a sequence. Subtle changes that stacked into something far more dramatic. She studied celebrity transformations like a playbook, aiming for a look that would make her untouchable. Younger, sharper, undeniably glamorous. She thought she was building armor. Instead, she built a target. The fuller lips, the sculpted cheeks, the near-vanishing nose, all crafted to silence critics, became the very ammunition they'd use against her. And when she unveiled the final result in Venice, she wasn't just facing public judgment. She was staring down the man whose approval she thought she'd already secured. For weeks after the wedding, Lauren vanished. No yacht paparazzi shots, no red carpet appearances, no Instagram stories from exotic locations. Her social media went dark, but behind the scenes, sources say she was holed up in Beverly Hills, moving between a private estate and the offices of a top-tier PR firm. This wasn't retreat, it was war planning. Her team's first move: control the narrative. Leaks began to appear in glossy magazines, framing her transformation as a personal journey rather than vanity. A carefully staged Instagram return followed, a muted selfie with the caption, "Owning my choices." It racked up 2 million likes in hours, though skeptics called it nothing more than damage control. At the same time, Lauren announced new projects aimed at shifting the conversation. A STEM scholarship fund for young women, a docuseries on her aviation company, and a rumored Vogue tell-all. It was a strategy designed to reframe her image. From plastic surgery scandal to empowered businesswoman. But whispers persisted. Insiders claimed Jeff was consulting lawyers, exploring prenup clauses that could tie Lauren's financial security to his approval. The very man she'd tried to impress was now allegedly her biggest obstacle. And while her public image was on the mend, her private world was collapsing. By autumn 2025, the glossy, hand-in-hand yacht photos were gone. Public sightings of Jeff and Lauren had all but vanished. He was reportedly spending nights alone aboard Carew, buried in Blue Origin meetings, while she was spotted with her legal team outside a Century City high-rise. Insiders described the atmosphere between them as strategic silence. No public fights, but no warmth either. Events they once attended as a power couple now saw Jeff arriving solo. Invitations that used to list Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez quietly dropped her name. Behind closed doors, sources claimed Jeff's focus had shifted entirely to protecting his empire, shielding assets, controlling headlines, and distancing himself from anything that might dent his brand. Lauren, meanwhile, continued her PR offensive, but the emotional toll was clear. Friends say she felt erased, replaced not by another woman, but by Jeff's image of perfection, an image she could never quite meet. Online, the verdict was split. Some called her a victim of billionaire control, others said she'd gambled her natural beauty and lost. But one thing was certain, this was no longer a love story. It was a cold war in couture, and as the world waited for the next public move, a reconciliation, a breakup, or something far messier, one question hung in the air. Was this the price of chasing perfection, or the cost of loving a man who demands it? So here we are, from a golden Venetian sunset to a love story frozen in silence. Lauren Sanchez's transformation was supposed to be her moment of power, the kind of reveal that silences critics and cements her place beside the richest man in the world. Instead, it lit a firestorm, one that exposed not just insecurities and public cruelty, but the razor-sharp edge of life inside a billionaire's orbit. Was this vanity gone wrong, or was it something darker? A woman punished for daring to make her own choices in a world where image is currency? Did Jeff Bezos simply react as a man blindsided, or as a partner who sees love as just another asset to protect? One thing is certain, the world will keep watching, and whatever happens next, it won't happen quietly. So, what do you think? Was Lauren a victim of billionaire beauty standards, or the architect of her own downfall? Want the truth on the next twist in this billionaire saga? Hit that subscribe button now. Because trust me, this story is far from over.